Welcome back to Old Charles, the channel where we uncover the hidden stories and values behind the coins in your pocket and the treasures in your collection. Today, we're diving into the fascinating world of the United States half dollar from 1974. If you've ever wondered how much this coin is worth, what makes it special, and how its history plays into its value, then you're in the right place. Stay tuned until the end because we'll go step by step through the history, condition, and collector's value of this beautiful coin. Let's start with a little history. The United States half dollar, more commonly known as the Kennedy half dollar, was first introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy, who was tragically assassinated in 1963. The coin quickly became a symbol of remembrance and national pride. By 1974, the Kennedy half dollar had already been in circulation for a decade. Unlike the very first 1964 version, which was struck in 90% silver, the 1974 issue was made of a copper-nickel-clad composition ***. This change had already taken place in 1971, when the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulating half dollars due to rising silver prices. These coins feature the famous profile of John F. Kennedy on the obverse, designed by Gilroy Roberts, and the presidential seal on the reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo. It's also worth noting that 1974 marked a time when half dollars were still being minted in large numbers for circulation, but their actual use in day-to-day transactions was declining. Many Americans simply preferred quarters and dollar bills, meaning half dollars often went straight into collections, banks, or storage rather than everyday wallets. With such high mintages, the 1974 half dollar is not considered rare in circulated condition. However, when we start looking at high-grade uncirculated coins or proofs, the story changes dramatically. As with any collectible coin, the condition is key when it comes to value. These coins are very common and usually worth face value, around 50 cents to $1 coins that show very light wear but still have sharp details may fetch $1 to $3. At this level, coins start to appeal to collectors, with values typically around $3 to $5. This is where the value jumps. A stunning MS-65 example of a 1974 half dollar can bring anywhere from $25 to $50, and in some cases even higher if it has exceptional luster or is certified by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. Proofs were struck specifically for collectors, with a mirror-like finish. A standard proof might sell for $5 to $10, but a deep cameo, DCAM, proof in top grade can command $50 or more. Here's where it gets even more exciting. Some 1974 half dollars are known for errors or varieties, which can skyrocket their value. Double die obverse, DDO***. Some 1974 D. Kennedy half dollars show noticeable doubling on the motto, "In God We Trust," or on Kennedy's profile. These error coins can be worth anywhere from $50 to several $100, depending on condition. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or other mint errors***. These are less common but highly collectible. A dramatic error could easily bring $100 or more. Collectors are always on the lookout for these rare finds. So if you have a 1974 half dollar, take a close look under a magnifying glass. You might be sitting on a hidden treasure. While the 1974 half dollar is not extremely rare in most conditions, it is still a popular coin for collectors, especially those who enjoy building complete Kennedy half dollar sets. Because it's part of the early years of the Kennedy series, it holds sentimental and historical value. Oh, there you have it. The 1974 Kennedy half dollar, a coin with rich history, widespread availability, but also surprising potential value if you happen to own one in high grade or with a rare error. You have a 1974 half dollar in your collection. Maybe even a Denver Mint variety with the famous double die. Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your coin stories. We're taking a close look at the United States half dollar from 1974, a coin that many people have seen, some people have saved, and collectors continue to treasure. But what makes it interesting isn't just its face value, it's the long and fascinating history behind it. The half-dollar denomination has been a part of U.S. coinage since the very early days of the mint, all the way back to 1794. In the 19th and early 20th century, half dollars were popular for everyday commerce because they were large, easy to use for bigger purchases, and often made of silver. However, by the mid-20th century, their use began to decline. People started preferring smaller denominations like quarters and paper bills, but the coin still carried prestige and tradition. Now, fast forward to November 22, 1963, the day President John F. Kennedy was tragically assassinated in Dallas, Texas. The nation was in mourning, and immediately there were calls to honor him in a permanent way. Within just a few weeks of his death, the U.S. Mint and Congress decided to redesign the half-dollar coin with Kennedy's portrait. Why the half dollar? Because it was the largest silver coin in regular circulation, and it had space for a strong, recognizable image of Kennedy, less than 2 months, the Mint created the design. The obverse, front, was sculpted by Gilroy Roberts, showing Kennedy's left-facing profile, while the reverse, back, was designed by Frank Gasparo, featuring the presidential seal with the eagle, shield, and olive branch. The new Kennedy half-dollar debuted in March 1964, just a few months after the assassination. People rushed to get them. Millions of Americans bought rolls and bags, not for spending but for keeping as keepsakes. That's why so few 1964 half-dollars actually circulated widely. Originally, the 1964 Kennedy half-dollar was struck in 90% silver, just like previous half-dollars. But rising silver prices created a problem. By 1965, the government reduced the silver content to 40%, and then by 1971, all silver was removed from the circulating half-dollar. Instead, the coin was made with a copper-nickel-clad composition, a copper core sandwiched between 2 layers of nickel. This was the same material already used in dimes and quarters since 1965. This change meant that by 1974, the Kennedy half-dollar was no longer a silver coin, but rather a base metal coin intended for regular circulation. The 1970s were a strange time for the half-dollar. While the U.S. Mint continued to strike millions of them each year, Americans increasingly used them less and less. Why? First, the size of the coin made it inconvenient for daily transactions compared to quarters. Second, many people associated the Kennedy half-dollar with a commemorative item, not an everyday coin. They often put them in drawers or collections rather than spend them. Third, the popularity of vending machines and parking meters, which were designed to take quarters but not half-dollars, meant the coin wasn't needed in daily life. By 1974, although over 280 million half-dollars were minted across Philadelphia and Denver, most never saw regular circulation. Many were stored in banks, coin rolls, and collector sets. It's also important to understand the broader historical setting of the year 1974. The United States was going through economic challenges, with inflation on the rise. The Mint was focused on producing coins efficiently without using costly metals like silver. Politically, America was in the middle of the Watergate scandal, which eventually led to President Richard Nixon's resignation in August 1974. While this didn't directly affect the half-dollar, it was a year of political tension and distrust in government. Culturally, the Kennedy image still had a powerful emotional pull for Americans. Even a decade after his death, the half-dollar with Kennedy's portrait remained a symbol of hope, progress, and the lost promise of the early 1960s. This cultural and historical background gives the 1974 half-dollar more meaning than just being another coin. The Kennedy half-dollar design from 1964 has remained remarkably consistent. By 1974, the coin still looked nearly identical to the very first issues, with only minor adjustments to the lettering and details over the years. What makes the design special is how timeless it feels. The portrait of Kennedy has become one of the most enduring images in U.S. coinage. Even today, in 2025, the Kennedy half-dollar is still being minted, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Although the 1974 half-dollar wasn't rare, it represents an important transitional period in U.S. coinage. The switch away from silver was complete. Half-dollars were still struck in massive numbers, but actual circulation was dropping. Collectors were starting to realize that only high-grade examples and proof coins would be worth saving, and in that sense, the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar is a snapshot of the time, a coin that was plentiful yet culturally significant, and one that carried the memory of a president whose legacy still influenced the nation. When we talk about the value of the 1974 Kennedy half-dollar, one of the most important factors is condition. In the world of coin collecting, the condition of a coin is often described using a grading scale, which ranges from very worn examples to perfect, flawless coins. Let's break this down carefully so you'll know exactly what your coin might be worth depending on its grade. Coins that have been in circulation for many years often show heavy wear. On a 1974 half-dollar, this means Kennedy's hair will be almost flat, the details in his face will be worn down, and the lettering may look soft. The eagle on the reverse will have faint or missing details in the wings and shield. Proof coins are special collector strikes made at the San Francisco Mint. They were never meant for circulation and have a mirror-like finish with frosted details. A standard 1974 S proof might sell for $5 to $10. However, if the proof has strong cameo or deep cameo (DCAM) contrast, meaning the frosted design stands out strongly against the mirror-like background. The value can go much higher. Deep cameo proofs in perfect condition *** can bring $50 to $100 condition matters even more with error coins. A 1974 half dollar with a double die error or an off-center strike in high grade could fetch hundreds of dollars. For example, a 1974 D. Kennedy half dollar with a clear double die obverse in uncirculated condition can easily sell for $100 to $500 or more when evaluating the condition of a 1974 Kennedy half dollar. Pay special attention to these areas: Kennedy's cheek and jawline, the highest points that wear down first. Hair details above the ear ***. In higher grades, these lines should be sharp and full. The eagle's breast feathers *** on the reverse, one of the best indicators of how much wear the coin has. Collectors always look for original mint luster, minimal scratches, and strong